Here we go. All hail shadow, heroes rise again, obliterating anything that's not your friend. Nothing can stop you now, no ghost can bring you down, and nothing left to lose, you win. Bow your head low, all hail shadow. Bow your head low, all hail shadow. Never long and it will set you free. And the tunnels will be fun enough we need. It's never over, just another day. Hope and tragedy, everything comes our way. Nation of the strong. Leaning that we've served for so long. Oh, hail shadow, heroes rise again. You're raiding everything that's not your friend. Nothing can stop you now. No guns to break you down. Nothing left to lose. You win. Bow your head low on your shadow. Bow your head low on your shadow. Somewhere in chaos we find ourselves. Damn it, even the song I stopped it and I still can't stop singing. New intro! Hope you guys can at least hear it. Anyways, yes, part 5. To what if Izuku was Tatsumaki? And I hope you guys remember, like, way back, I believe I stated that all the parts after part 3 are going to be like a little uh, crossovers with other what ifs, starting with part 4, which was basically a crossover with the Tatsumaki what if, and what if Izuku was a hollow what if. And now with part 5, I said I was going to do it in part 8 of the what if Izuku was carnage what if, so I'm doing it. You guys just gotta give me time to prepare myself for this shit. Because this is probably gonna be like one of the most epic crossovers ever on my channel. Like, in between what ifs. Like, there's the Tatsumaki what if, and then there's the freaking Carnage what if. Like, those are two, like, really good ones. And the Tatsumaki what if doesn't even have all that many parts. Yet the Carnage what if does. In fact, the Carnage what if is already ended, and the only reason that the Tatsumaki what if isn't ended is because I'm going to be using that what if as, like I said before, a vehicle for crossovers. So yes, part 5 of What If Izuku was Tatsumaki. I believe we can start now. Now, where exactly will we start off and how will we start off? Well, if you remember part 8, of what if Izuku had the carnage symbiote, and like towards the end of that part where Null and All Black were talking to each other, and basically All Black was telling Null that he was going to use this other power as a training dummy to become stronger so that whenever he came back, he could defeat Izuku. Or at least the Izuku of their reality. So, I believe that the best way to start this out is with, well, it being like a good old-fashioned Saturday morning. Yes, Saturday morning. For the Yagis and the rest of the world. Or the rest of the world-ish, I guess. Considering like time zones and shit. And so, seeing as it's Saturday, no one really has to, Saturday is a lot more of a relaxing time for most people. And hey, ever since, Izuku became the #1 hero, you know, things have been really peaceful. And I think I'm going to have to specify which Izuku I'm talking about, considering in this part alone, there are going to be 2 different Izukus. So do exactly kind of what I did with the other one, only enforce it more, because I think people could possibly get lost in part 4, because I might not have always been specifying which Izuku I was talking about. Well, at least specifying good enough. So basically, if I say Tatsumaki Izuku, it's basically the Izuku from this What If. If I say Carnage Izuku, it's the Izuku from the What If Izuku had Carnage What If. Had the Carnage symbiote What If. So, Tatsumaki Izuku is this What If Izuku, and, Carnage Izuku is the Izuku from the What If Izuku had the Carnage symbiote What If. Just clearly specifying, to make sure nobody gets lost. We want that to happen, now would we? On this figurative yellow brick road. Yellow brick road. Shit. So that's a Tatsumaki Izuku. When he'd be cruising with Nejire through the city. But then, like, some Shadow the Hedgehog bullshit would be pulled as a hole would open up in the sky. Maybe the next crossover I should do with the Tatsumaki What If should be like a Izuku Midoriya Shadow, and thus possibly bringing Canon Izuku along with them, because those two are basically in the same universe now, like same reality. That's something to think about. I just got an idea for a new part of this just while talking about how this is starting out. Basically, there would be some Shadow the Hedgehog shit being pulled, because there would have been like a giant hole in the freaking sky. And dropping down from that giant hole in the freaking sky, well, it's not multiple aliens, it is one. And, well, a few innocent citizens just so happen to be along its path as it descends down to the earth. And as soon as it catches, like, basically catches a glimpse of them in its eye, well, they're dead motherfuckers. The last thing they hear being, "We are all black." And Tatsumaki Izuku, understandably, is pissed. Like, even on what could be considered the closest thing to a day off that, like, him and his family have, even on the closest thing that the day off that they could possibly have, this shit has to happen. Like, what the frick? And just like that other version of him, this guy doesn't even look like they're from the same reality. And that's basically whenever All Black pauses after hearing that, and basically, well, he's safe to say that Tatsumaki Izuku thought that they were not saying that out loud, but they were. And then All Black replies with, "That's because we're not from the same reality, dumbass." And that's whenever Izuku just gets several tendrils with like blades at the end to the face and body, pinning them to a building. Straight out of nowhere. Like the psychic reflex that Tatsumaki Izuku has wouldn't have even been fast enough to tell, basically telegraph where that attack was coming from and how fast it was moving. That's how powerful All Black is. Listen, I don't even know all this dude's powers, so I'm just gonna say he's like every other symbiote and having similar powers. You know, in the way of having similar powers, but just being better at those powers than most symbiotes. Which is why, for the longest time, he was believed to be the strongest. Well, after getting attacked and, kind of slashed, happy slapped into a building, you can imagine that Tatsumaki Izuku is not feeling too hot. It's actually kind of reminding her, I mean, not her, shit. Remember, I don't know if you guys will remember this, but in one of the parts of the Tatsumaki What If, I mentioned that because it's a Tatsumaki What If, and Izuku's a guy, but Tatsumaki's a girl, that's why I sometimes call, Izuku, a she. Because I get confused in the heat of the moment. Spur of the moment. Basically, now Tatsumaki Izuku's pissed and is basically like shooting psychic like attacks everywhere. But none of them seem to actually be hitting All Black. All Black basically deciding to just take the opportunity to have some fun. Take a little joyride. And how exactly is he going to do this joyride? How's he going to make it happen? It's simple. He's going to break Tatsumaki Izuku. How is he going to do that? Well, simple. Because of the whole spy sense shit, uh, like Tatsumaki Izuku kind of cannot hit All Black. Because he will know whenever like she's trying to hit him, and also is strong and fast enough to be able to counterattack straight after dodging. Straight right after dodging, be able to counterattack. And so whenever you have an enemy that not only can you not actually damage physically or mentally, but or even emotionally, but like not only can you not damage them, but they can actually counterattack your failed attack. Yeah, that's gonna probably break someone after a while of just constantly failing to do anything. Which All Black does inevitably have Tatsumaki Izuku like second guessing himself because of just how ridiculously powerful this All Black guy seems to be. But you know, the whole position of number one hero and you know, the symbol of peace for the people, you know, that seems to be the only thing that keeps Izuku holding on. And that's until basically All Black turns into this liquid substance and races over to God knows where in the blink of an eye. Yes, Tatsumaki Izuku actually has to work in order to find his ass, but by the time he does, it's too late, and he now has a hostage, being Tatsumaki Izuku's brother, Sonic. All Black now has Tatsumaki Izuku's brother as a hostage, and is kind of using his tendrils to pull that shit on the rest of Tatsumaki Izuku's family. Yes, All Might, Toga, and even Shigaraki, they're all also becoming hostages of All Black's seemingly like relentless power and nigh endless power at that. This just this is not something Tatsumaki Izuku was prepared for. And that's where Bakugo will come barreling through, or at least this what if's version of Bakugo will come barreling through, you know, trying to hit, but just like with Tatsumaki Izuku, Tatsumaki Izuku will try to warn Bakugo about this whole thing about actually trying to hit this guy, but to no avail. Bakugo would actually just miss, and seeing as how much momentum he was building up as he was charging towards this man, this symbiote, he would just launch himself into a nearby freaking building, denting it with his face, and falling backwards, and having so much pain coursing through his body at one time that he would just pass out. He would just pass the frick out. And well, All Black would just be like, yes. I believe there is indeed a way that you and I can fix this little conundrum. And basically, seeing as Tatsumaki Izuku can't exactly, you know, make any wagers themselves, like any sort of demands themselves, seeing as, well, it's already too late for that. And all Black makes that pretty damn clear by just how close he is to killing each and every one of them. You know, each and every one of Tatsumaki Izuku's family. And, well, All Black basically just looks at Tatsumaki Izuku, and Tatsumaki Izuku knows that look, and just outright says it. What are your demands? I'll do it. What are your demands? And All Black is just like, oh, nothing but, well, we aren't just called symbiotes for any random reason. It's a term called symbiosis, is what I want. I was originally planning on using you as a training dummy to become stronger, but now, after everything that I've been able to see from merely being next to you, yes, I've seen everything now. Everything up until this point. I've been able to see everything perfectly. Even that battle with that one hollow fellow. Hollow version of you. Yes, that was fun. Very fun to watch. My opinion has changed, and my plan has changed with it. Instead of using you as a training dummy, you and I, well, we have some work to do. If you want your family to stay alive, that is. You already know you can't damage me, because you can't even get close enough to me for that to actually work. And to be obvious with you, just to be blunt and obvious with you, honest, your pyrokinesis sucks dick compared to every other power you have. And Tatsumaki Izuku's like, oh shit, thanks, buddy. And All Black's like, you're welcome. And Tatsumaki Izuku's just like, yeah, right, hostages. Okay, so, symbiote, symbiosis, okay, what the hell is this? What the hell am I getting myself into, bargaining with you? And all Black would literally just be like, don't think of it as bargaining. Think of it as a symbiotic partnership. You give me what I want, and I'll give you what you want. Well, to a certain extent. I can't just go away like you probably want me to. Once we're bonded, we're bonded. Yes, all Black is literally lying through his teeth. Like, they could be separated, but he's not gonna let Tatsumaki Izuku know that. He's not that freaking stupid to actually let them in on that information. And All Black is actually doing pretty well and good to actually keep certain information closed off and away from Tatsumaki Izuku, just so they don't figure out any gaps in All Black's actual power. among the hierarchy of all symbiotes. So yeah, basically All Black is doing everything in his power to make himself look invincible compared to anything that Tatsumaki Izuku could throw at him. And just this feeling of hopelessness would come over Tatsumaki Izuku, and the feeling of hopelessness would get so bad that actually agree to the terms. Yes, you heard that right. Tatsumaki Izuku would agree to the terms of symbiosis with All Black. And All Black would be like, oh yes, finally. The one thing that does indeed cause me discomfort is something that causes all symbiotes discomfort. Being away from our home planet, nothing else is ever like our home planet. It's a pain in the ass to live anywhere else besides our home planet because of the differences. Basically, not actually stating what those differences do or why those differences are such a pain in the ass. Because, death. But All Black doesn't want to, have Tatsumaki Izuku, Tatsumaki Izuku thinking that he's weak. He wants to make Tatsumaki Izuku think that he's all powerful and shit. So, at least all powerful compared to anything that, any of them could ever do to him. And he's already mentioned that Tatsumaki Izuku's pyrokinesis seems pretty weak sauce to him. So, yeah. That's gonna be a pain in the ass. But, seeing as he's been able to break down Tatsumaki Izuku so much, it finally happens. Tatsumaki Izuku finally accepts it. However, All Might, Tenko, Toga, and even her own brother, her own little brother, who I am actually thinking of doing a what if series of Sonic. Like, what if Izuku was Sonic? I mean, I'm actually thinking that I might have ideas for that, but I don't know what those ideas are yet, or how I would execute the story. I'm thinking that it might just come naturally to me after a while, but I don't know how much of a while that would be until it came natural to me. Just like the story elements that I would need for that what if to actually work out. And basically work its way into the hierarchy of all of my other what ifs. But enough of that. Now, basically, Tatsumaki Izuku and All Black are bonding with each other. And the bonding process, not long after, has become complete. And the only thing said afterwards, before they head back to the dimension in which, the reality in which All Black had came from, the only thing that they really say before they go back is, we are the most powerful symbiote. We are All Black. And that's whenever All Black returns. Because All Black, at this point, has basically fulfilled the role of, well, basically whenever he said symbiote, he may be a symbiote, but he's acting more like a parasite when you think about it. Yes, that's right. That's what All Black's basically doing. He sees, like, the beings of Tatsumaki Izuku's reality that little beneath him, so much so that he basically treats his basic host here, Tatsumaki Izuku, as if he was basically All Black was a parasite to them, without them even knowing that that's his actual plan here, to basically parasite the shit out of basically parasite the shit out of Tatsumaki Izuku until the point to where he becomes strong enough to face off and possibly even defeat, Carnage Izuku, which is the Izuku of the reality in which All Black is actually returning to. And the moment he returns to the specific reality, Noel is just like, oh, so you actually succeeded in doing what you were planning on doing. And then All Black would be like, actually, I kind of thought it over and straight in the middle of doing what I was doing and came up with a different plan that seems a lot more sound to me. Sure, it may be dark as hell, but, considering what some symbiotes have actually been known to do to their hosts, you could consider me a parasite, what I'm about to do, and what I'm currently doing right now to the green super soldier of psychic power that call themselves the terrible tornado hero, Tatsumaki. Yes, zapping them everything that they're worth. And Noel's like, and how long ago have you been doing this? Like, for how long have you been doing this? Like, how much of them is left? And basically, Alpha Black is like, well, basically, right as soon as the bonding process had been completed, not too long after that is whenever I decided to come back here. And so, yeah, that's your answer. And Noel's just like, well, looks like, I guess you could say, the game has now just begun. And All Black is like, yada yada yada. Nobody cares, no. Now, I'm milk my little pet here for all they're worth. You fool. You actually thought that there was going to be any sort of fairness in our little deal. While I may not, have killed your friends and family, you are definitely not in any better straits than them. Or what they would have been in had you decided to not go with my plan. In fact, you're definitely in worse straits than what they would have been. They would have just been dead. No, you're going to be more than dead by the time I'm done using you up. So, call me whatever you want to call me, but in truth, I'm as much a symbiote as I am, I guess, what you mortal humans would call a parasite. And I have gotten to the point where I just straight up don't care anymore. I have no reason to care anymore. Why care whenever now I have so much power that I can just taste it? The victory over my, as Null said, my rival. Izuku Midoriya and his symbiote followed before me. With your power, that will become a reality. That will be oh so delicious. And seeing as the bonding process has already been complete for some time now, well, you can try all you want, because, I know you can hear me. You can try all you want to fight back, but I'm pretty sure now you know that that isn't going to happen. In fact, all black would literally just slink inside of Tatsumaki Izuku, and Tatsumaki Izuku would try to hit themselves with a psychic attack to kill themselves so that they didn't have to do any of all black's plan. Because literally, dude just admitted that he was using them as like a meat puppet. So literally trying to commit suicide, but they would realize that their limbs were not moving the way that they were trying to get them to move. They were literally, instead of blasting through the chest, instead of that, Tatsumaki Izuku would raise their hand and slap themselves in the face. And that's whenever Tatsumaki Izuku would realize how much of a mistake they had just now made. Yes, with the complete bonding process having gone through, All Black now has complete and utter total control over anything and everything that Tatsumaki Izuku basically will ever do in the future, as long as they still exist. Complete control, and Tatsumaki Izuku has none. Basically, Tatsumaki Izuku, now knowing true, inescapable despair. I mean, they thought the hollow version of themselves was bad enough, but this monster, this all black creature, is freaking like legit. Has just chest the hell out of them. Screwed them over royally to use them as a meat puppet to gain enough power to defeat these two people that basically it considers them to be rivals to. And All Black would basically cover over Tatsumaki Izuku's body as a symbiote suit again, symbiote body again, and basically say, no, the two of us aren't their rivals. I am their rival. You are just a means to an end. And don't you let me ever catching you think otherwise. You fool. You honestly thought that I was going to play fair? That I was going to let you have a happy ending? You fool. You played right into my hands. And, after watching, just to break off onto a tangent, after watching the Unmasked episode, Bill that covered Bill Cipher, I'm wanting to redo my Bill Cipher What If and change it around because I saw What If where it was What If Izuku was Bill Cipher, and I kind of liked the idea of where it was going, but kind of lost interest in watching it actually. Because, you only have so much time in the day and only so much time in the night, for you to get yourself to get busy and everything. Of course, I myself am my own boss, so I can do my work whenever. Yeah, technically, seeing as I'm a YouTuber in my own right, I'm basically my own boss, so yeah. And now breaking off from that tangent, Basically, now you guys know that on top of getting a Sonic What If in the future, you will also be getting a redo of the whole thing with Izuku Midoriya and Bill Cipher. So yes, that that is definitely a lot of good stuff, a lot of good shit to be expecting. Because Bill Cipher is awesome, and Sonic is a ninja, and ninjas are awesome. So yeah. And for those of you that are wondering if Sonic's quirk is going to be different than the one he had in this, maybe, maybe not. Probably, maybe, maybe not. You know, all depends on what I'm feeling whenever I'm going over Sonic's quirk. Or if he's even going to have one. Excuse me. Anyways, back to the story. Basically, Tatsumaki What If is they're trying to find a wall, and the reason why they're trying to find a wall is because to just bang their head against it for being so stupid as to thinking like this all black person would play fair and give them like their happy ending, just allow them to live their lives out happily. No, no, they just had to be stupid and think that, that was going to happen whenever the only real purpose that they were serving right now is literally being a meat puppet for All Black's survival and increase in strength and just overall power. Yes, the number one hero, the terrible tornado hero, Tatsumaki, has now just been reduced to a meat puppet for the longest time been known as the strongest symbiote before Izuku and Carnage started upgrading themselves up the wazoo. So, yes, this is gonna get intense. Oh, and another thing, like symbiotes in the comics, I don't know if it's like all of them or like some of them, but like symbiotes more often than not have been known to drive their host insane. So that's kind of what's happening with Tatsumaki Izuku is he's kind of being slowly driven insane to just give in like Stockholm syndrome the shit out of themselves and just give in to All Black's plan and like basically be like, "Yes, master, I shall do as you say. Yes, senpai, I will do anything you say." Basically, All Black is just driving them slowly insane, slowly driving them to the point of insanity. And also, in a way, making that point of insanity a point of no return. Like an uncleansable insanity. So yeah, not too long after everything to do with that, well, all All Black would basically make his way to, well, Carnage Izuku's version of Earth. And, well, let's just say that he is not met with a warm welcome. Because pretty much everyone that's part of the #1 hero team, the hero team, Team Symbiosis, knows about All Black and knows what this mofo looks like and knows what this mofo can do and knows that due to some, you know, other future premonition shit that's been going on lately, that he might have actually tried to cheat the system by going to another reality and taking that Izuku as its first host. And not just any host, but more or less a meat shield, so acting more or less not like a symbiote, but more or less a parasite than a symbiote. So yeah, that's a pot. That's food for thought. The more you know, G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe, a real American hero. And so the first two people to actually be on the scene in this, well, basically, if you guys remember, Mineta and Monoma in this, in the Carnage What If, are related as cousins. And, well, Monoma, if I remember correctly, has Slasher, and Mineta has Phage. And, well, how long it's been currently, and the time span from part 8 to part 5 of this What If, they've actually got a pretty good handle. Plus, Bakugo, considering everything that he's been trying to do, and just hero work in general, he's still managed to be a very, very good teacher. Pretty good teacher. Whenever it comes to these two. And so Bakugo would be doing his own thing, just being on a lookout, doing a stakeout for the agency, trying to make sure it's safe and secure. Nobody sneaks up and tries to sneak in. We don't want any of that. We don't want any of that. So Bakugo just doing a stakeout to make sure that their little building, for their hero agency, is safe and secure. Hero team agency is all safe and secure. So he's just been doing that, and well, basically he sent Mineta and Monoma, seeing as Bakugo has his own symbiote, that being Scream. Him and Scream can pretty much handle the whole job of, a stakeout for, any sort of prying eyes that they don't want to be around, just be dealt with. And he can just take care of that along with Scream. He doesn't need any extra help. And Monoma and Mineta both believe in this because of just how harsh Bakugo's training is, or well, was for them and their symbiotes. So, yeah, they totally 100% believe that Bakugo does not need help, you know, in trying to be like the basic security guard for their team agency of building thing. And as for everyone else, well, Izuku and Yu, also known as Mount Lady, have a family to raise, kids to raise, alongside with the Izuku symbiote Carnage. But seeing as he's the #1 hero, he has a lot of responsibilities added on top of the fact that he's already a parent. So yeah, basically, they're booked. And whenever they're not watching, basically have either Shoto or Shinso over to babysit. Whoever has less hero work to do on their plate is basically the one who's going to be babysitting, little Hikari, because at this time, Ursa is 15, so she is just now actually received the exception letter, and well, basically, it was a big meetup in between everybody that was part of Team Symbiosis and family, just to see the reaction and, congratulate Ursa on getting into UA. And so, yeah. We now have confirmed, basically, that Ursa is getting into UA. That she basically was given the exception letter, so she's getting into UA. Definitely. And little Ikari is still getting babysat anytime his parents aren't around to take care of him themselves. So, yeah. You could imagine that, basically, Mineta and Monoma would kind of want to patrol around the same areas, like switch position every now and again, but they would like to be rather, relatively close to each other, to keep an eye out in case one of them possibly might need help. I mean, neither of them think that's going to be very likely that they're going to need help, but, just since the fact that they figured out that they are cousins, you help a brother out, or a cousin out in this case. You help a cousin out whenever they need the help. If they need help, that is. In the case of Monoma and Mineta. Because Monoma has Slasher, and Mineta has Phage. And because Mineta dropped the whole facade of being a pervert, he actually has gotten himself a girlfriend. Who, just like what happened with Momo and Shoto, yes, those two got married, and Mineta's girlfriend, well, let me think. I wasn't prepared to do this. I'm trying to think of the other part of their name. I know one part of their name, but it's like a Hitsu something Kendo, like a Hitsuku Kendo or something. You guys can tell me if I'm saying that one part of their name wrong, but I know that there is one part of their name where it's like Kendo. So basically, I'm just gonna say Kendo. So yeah, basically Kendo from Class 1B. You know, both their quirks are relatively weird. You know, the sticky balls quirk, and he basically, I believe Hisuka Kendo. Basically, Kendo's quirk is making her hands giant. At least that's what I remember it being called. Like, basically making like big old hands. Like, don't catch these hands. Like, pulling a Braun Strowman off in his house. Yeah, I do need to believe it's Isuka Kendo. So, so in all reality, yeah, I pulled that. Since their quirks are both weird, plus I was just trying to find a girl, you know, out of random that probably would not exactly be the 100% pick for Mineta, but definitely would be there as a pick after Mineta dropped the whole pervert act. And that everyone else actually figured out it was an act to begin with. And why Mineta was doing that kind of an act. So, yeah. You guys may be wondering, well, where's Kendo then? Simple. She's a housewife, and so she would be doing what any housewife would be doing when their man is out doing hero work. She more or less only does like side hero work, like hero work on the side, as a sort of assistant to Team Symbiosis. She doesn't do nearly as much hero work as, you would think she would have done, enrolling in a school like UA. She's more or less mostly housewife and kind of a hero. But mostly, more or less just a housewife, like a stay-at-home housewife. Like, that's kind of probably what housewife means. Like a stay-at-home wife. But every now and again, she likes to go out with the girls, hang out with the girls. And probably one of her favorite people, if not her favorite person to hang out with, out of all of these girls she hangs out with, is, well, Momo. Yes, Momo and Kendo like to hang out. And basically like to see whose milkshake brings more boys to the yard. Damn right, it's better than yours. Damn right, it's better than yours. But it's all in good fun. It's all in the name of good fun. And you guys might be wondering why I'm getting into all this random shit. Well, basically, it's to show how far the world has come since we last left off with the end of the Izuku having the carnage symbiote what if. It's all to show just, it's kind of like in the first episode of Dragon Ball Z, where the narrator's like, it's been 5 years since the defeat of Piccolo. It's kind of like, it's been 5 years of peace ever since the defeat of Piccolo. It's kind of like that, like catching up on how everyone's been doing after, all the commotion. All of the weird shit that happened. So basically, just like a catching everyone up, making sure everyone's on the same page. So yeah, basically now back to this freaking story, and not just side tangents of the story, the actual story. Basically, All Black is walking around like the districts in which Monoma and Mineta usually patrol the most. Because there are certain areas that certain members of Team Symbiosis will patrol around more than others. Though it's like several areas for each member, so, it's a wonder how anyone could actually hurt a single person in all of Japan with the way that they operate. So, yeah, there's that. And basically, the one that, like, All Black and his little meat puppet, Tatsumaki Izuku, the one that they run into first. Basically, All Black may have slunk back down into Tatsumaki Izuku's skin, but now basically Tatsumaki Izuku is left wandering around this area because basically the current state of this What If's Japan and the current state of the What If Japan of like the Tatsumaki What If are two different Japans. Like, there are some noticeable differences that kind of make it hard to navigate. Like how much has changed and the way it changed. Like how much it has changed and the way in which it changed over time. So indeed it would be a tad difficult, plus, with All Black zapping you for everything you're worth, it would make it like really difficult to navigate. And that's whenever she would basically run into some, kids pulling some graffiti, trying to be cool and all that, trying to be hip and jazz and all that. And Tatsumaki, first instinct as being the number one hero, would be like to reprimand them for pulling graffiti. Graffitiing a freaking, tunnel area. But instead of reprimanding them, All Black decides to have some fun by making Tatsumaki Izuku even more miserable by, instead of just reprimanding them, as soon as Tatsumaki Izuku sticks their hand out, several tendril blades go through these boys' freaking, severed from parts of their body, and then split apart, splitting the boys apart, and just instantly killing them. And then, the tendril blades would slip back into Tatsumaki Izuku's hand, and Tatsumaki Izuku would be like, wait, what? And All Black would just be like, in her mind would just be like, shit. In his mind would basically just be like, have you forgotten who's under control here? Like, have you forgotten who's in control here? I am the one who is in control. No matter if we're suited up or not, I still rule the roost of this entire existence. Of your entire existence. You do what I want you to do, and there are no objections. Or do you want your family to all die a miserable and painful death? Well, anyways, I guess you can have some sort of comfort and solace in knowing that I'm not exactly planning on going back to your reality to tell them about what you've just done, or what we're going to do in the future. Oh yes, if you just thought this was going to be just us fighting that #1 hero, how the hell do you think we're supposed to get strong enough to combat that crazy zombie? Like, how the hell do you think we're supposed to get strong enough to combat that kind of power? You know, the only way you can get stronger through destroying those that are weaker than you. You become stronger. Don't you already feel it? And seeing as basically All Black has been putting Tatsumaki Izuku's mind through the ringer, basically Tatsumaki Izuku finally submits to All for Black for just a little bit, finally giving a little bit into the insanity, being like, I do feel stronger. Why? The why do I feel stronger? And All Black is like, I just told you why. Killing these creatures is what's going to give us more power. The more creatures, the more these pathetic bottom feeders we kill off, the stronger we become. The stronger we become, the closer we get to where we can, well, basically just deal with that whole rivalry thing post haste. And Tatsumaki Izuku would just be like, the more we kill, the stronger we become, the closer we get to being strong enough to end the rivalry. I'll never be able to look at my family and friends the same way again, but that is, you, if you're actually telling the truth for once, that you don't plan on telling any of them about what we'll have done. And All Black is like, yes, for once now, I am indeed telling you the truth about something that actually benefits the both of us in a strange way. None of them will know about what you are currently doing alongside me as your puppet master, you as the puppet. My little meat shield. And so basically, yeah, it's been driven to that point. It's come across that valley. Just it's just gone there, been there, done that, that type of shit. And the first person to actually pick up on all of this is a blonde-haired person who Tatsumaki Izuku basically meets eyes with as they're about to walk into the tunnel. Tatsumaki Izuku is still in the tunnel and wondering if they can actually see them in the midst of all the darkness. However, All Black would then again say, shit, I forgot. Team Symbiosis. It's one of their members. Mita Monemo. Shit! And that's whenever tendrils would just come flying. Green tendrils out of this blonde-haired person's freaking, basically several different parts of their body. All flung straight at them. Tatsumaki Izuku barely able to dodge just because of, well, All Black's own spidey sense. And so, you guessed it, Tatsumaki Izuku and Mito Monoma getting in a struggle. It's not really so much a struggle for Monoma as it is for Tatsumaki Izuku. Because Tatsumaki Izuku, while being bonded with All Black is all good, great and good and all, like, don't think that Team Symbiosis, each and every member of Team Symbiosis, hasn't been preparing for the inevitable day in which All Black will finally show his freaking face and stop being such a freaking coward. Yeah, they have definitely been preparing for that day. So, no wonder that even though how powerful All Black is, and how powerful, he's supposed to be becoming, absorbing all of that power that Tatsumaki Izuku has. that doesn't matter whenever considering like each and every member of Team Symbiosis has been preparing for the day whenever you would inevitably show yourself. And considering how many members of Team Symbiosis there actually are, yeah. You best be considering the fact that you might actually be in trouble. And this is only like one person. And they're not even the freaking, like, leader. They're not even, like, Carnage Izuku. This is freaking Monoma we're talking about here. And he's just like, Slasher, can you tell me anything about this person? They seem to look like Izuku, but not completely like Izuku. Almost like an Izuku from Slasher's like, so you're getting it. An Izuku from a different reality. A reality that, if what I'm getting from the Spidey sense is correct, All Black visited and then somehow got this Izuku to surrender themselves, and in doing so, bonding with All Black. And now they're being held up against their will, and All Black is being more of a parasite than a symbiote to them, giving them false promises in the hope that he'll be able to milk them for more than they're worth times 1,000, just to get strong enough to defeat Boss. Just to get strong enough to defeat, Leader. And after hearing that, after Monoma hears that, he's like, All Black, tell me, the person who you're using as your little meat shield, who were they before you took them? To the people of their world, who were they? And then All Black would just be like, okay, I'll indulge on your little shit scene. I'll indulge on your little shit, little fairy tale fantasy, Monoma. I'll indulge gladly. Slasher. They were known as the #1 hero, the terrible tornado hero, Tatsumaki. With their IRL name being Izuku Midoriya. Yes. Now, my meat puppet, my little sacrificial lamb to the slaughter, is an Izuku Midoriya from another reality that I was able to break and have them bend to my will. Yes. You can call me a parasite all you want, but I don't care about that. What I care about is finally getting rid of him. And I think you know who, and I think you two know who I'm talking about. I want to get rid of them, so I decided to get power strong enough for me to use it to do exactly that. This other Izuku is just a mere meat puppet for me to gain power from. Strong enough power that I will be able to destroy them. Destroy the one you call leader. Destroy the one you call friend. And Monoma would just be like, Kong Slasher would just be like, are you done with your little soapbox entry now? Because even after all that, I still gotta admit, you're pretty stupid, and I don't care. And All Black's like, I don't care if you don't care, but what the hell do you mean I'm pretty stupid? And then all of a sudden, BAM! It would just be like, look who's here, bitches! Moneta and Phage are here, brother. Or, as I should say, cousin. And, you know, Monoma would basically be partially suited up, which is why, basically, just manhandled All Black. And the reason why Moneta was so easily able to manhandle All Black is because he was also partially suited up. They're like in the slim suit versions of their symbiote, which are basically their hero costumes. Their equivalent to the hero costume is basically a slimmed down version of their symbiote, like symbiote monster form. Because they're the slim form, there's just the monster form, and the only one to unlock a third form, technically a fourth form, because the first form is just the regular human. And then the second form would be considered the slim symbiote. And then the third form would be the monster form. So the only one of them to really unlock a fourth form would be Izuku. And that fourth form being absolute carnage. Excuse moi. And now All Black would just be realizing how big of a mistake he made, being all pompous of an asshole, and just satirical, basically just being a generic villain, and monologuing about, what he's already done and what he plans to do. Basically, All Black would have realized he's been monologuing so much for now that he's actually starting to become a cartoon villain level of just cheesiness and corniness. And it's pathetic. And, he was monologuing over to Monoma, and it seems that Moneta was actually listening to this. He could have just dropped in at any time, but he waited for All Black to finish his monologue before he decided to kick his ass. Because now, All Black and Tatsumaki Izuku are basically dealing with two people with symbiotes, basically, that have been, for the longest time, preparing for this moment. Not just one symbiote that for the longest time has been preparing for this moment, but two that have been doing that. Facing off against two that have been doing that constantly. In between hero work and, family shit. the occasional shooting of the shit in between, themselves and all the other members of Team Symbiosis. They have been definitely preparing for this day. And All Black, as soon as he, gets this through his noggin, he's like, oh shit, I effed up. Shit, there's like 2 of them now. No, I am the strongest. No one is the strongest but me. And so he just decides to unveil some psychic attacks. To try to surprise them. Like, even if their Spidey sense is able to pick it up, he should be able to, still surprise them in the fact that, as far as they knew, All Black wasn't really all that, known for ridiculously crazy psychic attacks. But, he is sorely mistaken. They are very heavily prepared for this shit. Just to be prepared for anything is basically, what everyone told each other. To be prepared for anything whenever it came to this all-black guy. And so, Monoma and Phage and not Monoma and Phage, Moneta and Phage and Monoma and Slasher decide to basically pull off this new attack that they've been working on. A tag team attack. And All Black is not ready for this, to say the least. He is not ready for what is about to happen. Basically pulling like some sort of man-beast, fang over fang, gets a good technique. And just like kicking the crap out of All Black, sending him flying. And well, basically, All Black calls a retreat, and he's like, we have to kill more so we can become stronger. Bakugo actually overhears this because he actually, basically All Black and Tatsumaki Izuku actually got knocked back several feet, all the way very close to where the agency building is for Team Symbiosis. So Bakugo would have heard that. Yeah, turns out whenever All Black is pissed, he's not a very good at being, quiet. And so Bakugo just heard all that, and then he is now prepared to kick All Black's ass. To hand him his generous All Black ass. And screams like, oh, don't leave me out. And Bakugo's like, wouldn't dream of it, pal. Wouldn't ever dream of it. And so they just start hacking and slashing away at, just, beating the ever-living shit out of All Black. And, he has to do a second retreat now. He's like, screw this. Find somewhere where the shit is everything. Last time I checked, navigating through Japan was not this difficult. And then all of a sudden, he would just hear off in the distance, surprise, bitch! And just bam! They're just sent flying into the pavement. And All Black would have been like, what the f was that? And then he would just see, standing over him, covered in the agony symbiote, Shoto Todoroki, the number 2 hero. And following not too far behind him, the number 3 hero, Hitoshi Shinso. Basically, it's kind of hard not to hear what was going on. Kind of hard not to be aware of that whenever it's so damn loud. and so damn, all over the place. And plus, like, several kids were reported not only missing, but then later reported dead in a tunnel with, like, markings on them being similar to that of the genetics of a certain symbiote. And whenever certain studying was being done, well, basically what came up was that it was the DNA, like, basically from what could be considered another version of Izuku mixed with all black. And that's basically what has the basically the number 2 and the number 3 hero is on all black's ass now. And basically Shoto's like, ready, Shinso? And Jizo's like, ready. And they just both turn into, like, their respective symbiote suits. And they're just like, we are Agony, and we are Venom. The number 2 and number 3 heroes. Members of Team Symbiosis. And then all black will just grow big enough balls, big enough big balls to outright call them out and say, your leader is a coward. And Shoto would be like, wait, what? What did you say about my brother? And all black's just like, adopted brother, and well, I think you heard me. And I think you also heard me as well, Shinso. Your leader is a C-O-W-A-R-D. Capital all those letters. With an exclamation point at the end. Just to confirm to you how much of that he is. A coward. If he's not even going to show his face. If he's going to have you idiots fight me, but not actually show up himself. How pathetic. He thinks I'm weak? No. He's the one who's weak. Otherwise, he would have already shown up by now. Instead of having you two brought to try and apprehend me. And, Shinso would actually be like, technically, you're actually near the zone in which we've been patrolling, so we would have run into you regardless of our leader being a coward or not, as you so say. And Shoto's like, well, he's right. You are pretty close to where we patrol, and so we were able to pick up, sense you, and, well, yeah. So, get wrecked, Scrub Lord. And all black would just be like, the only one getting wrecked here will be every single last citizen of Japan after I'm done with you, Team Symbiosis fools. Yes. The more the kill, the stronger we become. And that's basically whenever all black would pull some Conqueror's hockey bullshit and just flex Shoto and Shinso away from him long enough for him to do a retreat somewhere to where, like, none of them should be able to find it? Question mark? But that's the problem. It's not exactly like they were knocked out too bad to not be able to return and, call up their leader and basically recall everything that was said, including the fact that he was called a coward by All Black, a guy who's using him from another dimension as a meat puppet, basically draining them just like how Riot would, just that so he can become stronger, and also becoming stronger through killing others, having his little meat puppet do that for him with his own powers, and thus driving his little meat puppet insane, slowly yet surely, driving him insane. And after hearing this, Izuku's like, honey, I'm gonna put this on hold. I think you can deal with the rest. Like, they were just in the middle of like a little villain squabble. And Mount Lady's like, she's been doing this for long enough. She has the experience. So yeah, she's like, yeah, I can take care of it. Whatever's going on, though, I would at least like to know why you're leaving, so, like, short notice. And Izuku's just like, All Black. And that's all that needed to be said in order for... and that expression on Izuku's face right before he would suit up, and him saying All Black in that manner, to where Carnage would also be saying it with them, so they'd be saying his name in synchronization with one another. And they'd both be very pissed off whenever they said it. And that's all you would have needed to know, would have needed in order to tell what was actually going on. And so Yu's like, oh, so he's finally grown the big balls enough to show his face here. Well, have at it. Have at the asshole. Just, if you can find some way to record it so that we can watch it later as a family, you kicking his ass, that would be very nice of you. And, Izuku and Carnage would both be like, we'll try to negotiate something with, the news, see if they can get some sort of, like, a helicopter to make a recording of this specific battle that's about to ensue. Only he wouldn't say battle. No. He would say the specific war that's about to take place. Yes, this is not a battle, my friends. This is not a battle. This is a war that's about to happen here. A war that's about to go down. And literally, you can just feel the tension in the air, and so can All Black. And, well, as for Tatsumaki Izuku, they basically lost all feeling in their body, yet they can actually taste it. It's so prominent throughout the entirety of all the country of Japan. Like, just a protective bubble of awesome has just been created over the entire country of Japan. And that, the source of this, protective bubble of awesome, radiating off this unbelievable, true power, like nothing All Black's ever experienced before from Izuku. Oh, he's sensing it now, and he's even tasting it. And what he tastes, he does not like. And, how he does not like it? He's actually starting to heavily regret ever coming anywhere near, not just Japan, but Earth in general. Because even with his little meat shield, from this little radiation that he's experiencing, and realizing that this is just him, like, in the slim form. This is just Carnage Izuku in the Slim Carnage form. Not even in the Monster Carnage form, not even Absolute Carnage, just the Slim form, and he's radiating this off. So, yeah, All for Black is just... All Black is just like, how the hell am I supposed to combat that? And then he remembers, oh yes, that's right, the one the humans call All for One. And basically, yes, basically, All Black would pull some interdimensional bullshit, basically summoning forth a Black Lantern ring, bringing back All for One after, fleeing the scene, finding All for One's body, bringing him back from the dead, and, in doing this, basically, it would be like a zombie All for One, and would just absorb zombie All for One into his form by eating him. And not only that, but he would not only have All for One's quirk, All for One, he would have the power of the Black Lantern ring now. So he'd be like nigh unkillable. Yeah, emphasis on the nigh though. Considering, well, even after all of that extra buff from resurrecting All for One, then eating him with the power of the Black Lantern ring, they just interdimensionally summoned out of nowhere. Just because he was that scared. Even after all of that, he just realizes that the energy that he was sensing before is actually really close now. What the hell? Has he been sensing me? Has he been telling where I've been going? And literally, as if the dude read All Black's mind, he would just hear from behind him, well, I guess you could call it that. Poor All Black. You actually think this is going to make a difference? Then, apparently, you know nothing about what true power is. First of all, well, let's just say that I've had enough of your little bullshit. They don't need any more of it than there already is. And right after he says that, he basically shoots a tendril out that kind of shoots into All Black, and basically, whenever it retracts out from his body, he sees that now, inside of his hand, inside of Carnage Izuku's hand, he has the Black Lantern ring. Sure, All Black can still pull from All for One's power, but it won't be nearly as strong, and he won't be nearly as nigh invincible as he was before. So he just basically ripped the Black Lantern ring out, and he just decides to crush it. And, well, basically, All Black decides to try to, morph All for One's quirk to, instead of stealing quirks, it steals symbiotes. But that's the problem. He is successfully able to do this, but that's only because Izuku wanted him to do it. And because of this, Izuku's smile, Carnage Izuku's smile, is so damn big whenever he finally eats Carnage. Whenever All Black finally just eats Carnage and is like, I'm going for you next. Wait, why are you smiling? And then Carnage Izuku just starts laughing his ass off. And that's whenever All Black feels nothing but agonizing, excruciating pain. and a voice in his head telling him, "So, these are the ones. Yes, I definitely remember that face." Ah. And then Carnage inside of, like, All Black's own mindscape. There would basically be All Black inside his own mindscape, and Carnage would be there, but also Tatsumaki, Izuku, and All For One would be there as well. And Carnage would just put his hand up to All For One, and basically a symbiote version of a Hakai blast. Just like Hakai. Just Hakai him to death. Yes, All Black isn't the only one who's been working on interdimensional shit. Izuku's actually been using that kind of power to his advantage, and basically in the way he's been doing so is he's been using that interdimensional access to train himself in the way of destruction energy. Yes, that's right. Himself and Carnage are basically masters of it by now. And so they just freely Hakai All For One's body, and now he no longer even exists in, like, any reality. It doesn't already have its own All For One. So, yeah. All Black automatically just realizes, fuck. Like, no. Like, where are you moving your hand? And all of a sudden he just moves his hand towards, Tatsumaki Izuku, and it's like, he sees the black tendrils wrapped around Tatsumaki Izuku, and it's like, oh, well, this is interesting. Tell me, how would you feel if I told you me and Izuku not only were working on destruction energy, but another little interesting thing, well, two things we found along with that power. Yes, we found a total of 3 different things we wanted to try out. Destruction energy, and the 2 other things being... Well, I guess you'll just have to learn for yourself. Tell me, have you ever heard of Kaikai or Ultra Instinct? And basically, Carnage decides he's going to show off, like, what he means. And basically, Izuku's like, not Izuku, but, like, Carnage is just like, now you see me, now you don't. And automatically just Kaikai's over there, and before he's actually able to be completely visible again, actually lashes out, severing the connection in between All Black and Tatsumaki Izuku. However, Tatsumaki Izuku is now experiencing heavy withdrawals after being, like, leash-life the hell out of by All Black. And Carnage is like, well, shit. Just picks up Tatsumaki Izuku and is like, well. And then, like, a white aura starts to surround Carnage, and it's like, instead of Carnage, now what is seen is Izuku Midoriya. Izuku Midoriya surrounded in the white aura, saying that He won't need carnage for this. They've both been studying these three different things. Destruction energy, Kai, and the third thing, what they call, the people of that reality call, Ultra Instinct. Not just Omen, but possibly even on the cusp of entering Master Ultra Instinct. However, Izuku plainly says he won't need that to get the point across, though. Omen will be enough. And right before All Black's even able to make a remark, he just gets gut punched so hard by Izuku inside of, like, Ultra Instinct Omen. Basically, he just gets gut punched so hard that it's like what happened to Cell whenever he was fighting Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. You just get, like, heavy gut punch. Ah, yeah. Definitely not comfortable. Like, not only did he get his little meat puppet removed from him, but after that he got sequentially gut punched by someone who knew Ultra Instinct. And yeah, so that's gonna hurt a lot. Enough to actually knock All Black out of his own little mindscape and back to reality. Up goes gravity. Mom spaghetti. So yeah, that's some shit. And so basically, the moment that All Black is pulled out of his little thing, like, Izuku's just like, Carnage, I'm gonna need you to, do a little favor for me. And Carnage is like, we're basically hooked up to each other's minds, I already know. Besides, I don't like looking at them like that anyways. So, I've already been working on the repairs. Though they may never be the same again, they will indeed not be, currently dying. At least they won't be dead, that's for sure. But like I said, it's going to be basically 99.9% chance they are never going to be the same person ever again. All Black has done that much damage to their psyche. And just everything to do with them. During the time in which they were bonded to each other. And so while Carnage is busy doing the healing for Tatsumaki Izuku, Carnage Izuku is basically just like, now, I believe that little gut punch, you can't move anymore, can you? And All Black is just like, and before he's even able to say anything, well, I can definitely tell at least there's one thing you can move. Your mouth. It's a shame. I would have liked to have also stopped that from moving as well. But I guess even in death, you're going to be moving your mouth. Never get a truly happy ending, now can we? Though, eventually we'll have silence from you. And the fact that you'll no longer be around. Now, like my partner said, Hakai. And All Black not being able to move his body the entire All Black symbiote, no one would just be watching from where he was. Like, he wouldn't have moved from his spot. He actually never moved from his spot. So, yeah, he'd be like, oh, God, well, looks like, well, that totally sucks a whole lot of malarkey. That sucks hard. Whoever knew that someone could be that interdimensionally powerful, that they could not only pull from a separate superhero universe, but also separate universes like, what do the mortals call it? Anime? But 3 different techniques? 3? That's a little excessive if you think about it. Uh, uh, Kai Kai, Ultra Instinct, and Destruction Energy. I guess that's one good way to say bye-bye to the biggest annoyance in my entire life as of recent. Can't believe how hard it's been to actually hold myself back from punching that guy in the face. It's all black, like I predicted. God is just desserts, being such an asshole. Turns out it was the same thing with Riot. He was being an asshole, so he got his just desserts. All Black should have learned from Riot's mistake and not been an asshole. But I guess some things you just can't change and also subsequently can't undo. But now about that terrible tornado hero. I guess I have some reason to come down from this position. Well, say hello, Japan. And just a flick, and Noel would be in Japan. Right where Carnage and Izuku were. Basically, Carnage and Izuku would have been rebonded to each other, and Noel would just be like, oh, I see you two find a way to get back bonded with each other, perfectly. And Izuku's like, actually, we kind of wanted that to happen, just to show how much, well, your little buddy effed up. And Noel's like, first of all, he's not my buddy, he was never my buddy. And second of all, just to show you how much of that is actually true, I've actually come to help fix something. Seeing as I am the creator of all symbiotes, like Noel, you would think that I'd know a way to perfectly counteract the effects that he would have put onto someone's body by draining them so much that they would literally go into a relapse state. So yeah, basically, I think you already know what I'm talking about. And Izuku's like, so you're here to basically help them make a full recovery? And Noel's like, and then get them back into their own universe. Basically, just like with the only thing that seemed to be the truth that came out of All Black's mouth, the fact that he wasn't going to tell any of them about the fact that they had just killed those kids. Basically, I don't disclose that information either. What stays in these separate realities stays in these separate realities, after all. Well, at least that's how it should be. Anyways. You know, like they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. At least that's what you mortals say. So, indeed, I will be fixing everything that All Black broke about this person. And and Carnage Izuku would just be like, thanks, man. And Noel's like, wow, actual, genuine, thanks from someone. Oh, you're welcome, Izuku. And Carnage. And Carnage is just like, no, really, it's nothing. We're just glad that, well, both of us truly are just glad that now there won't be any scarring left to hinder their own progress. We were easily able to tell that they were the number one hero of their own universe and, well, overall reality. The number one hero of their own Japan. So, if they were to be scarred like that, who knows what it could have done to the performance as the number one hero, and who knows what it could have done to the relationship between them and their friends and family. It would have surely been a heavy loss. And Noel's just like, well, I guess anything I can do to help. After everything that All Black did to screw everyone over, just because he was upset that he wasn't on the top anymore. Can't believe that I actually had myself deal with all this bullshit for so long and act like I was oblivious to all of it. Either that or I didn't care, which couldn't be any further from the truth. Well, call this an oven that just went ding, because he's done. And Izuku's like, Carnage Izuku would just be like, huh? That fast? Wow. No wonder you're the creator of all the original symbiotes. You're really damn good at doing our job. And Noel's like, technically it's not my job to help you guys, but, after everything that All Black did, and how much it was a real big pain in my ass, and how much you guys didn't deserve what he did to you, basically, you and that other Izuku, and their friends and family, and those kids. And speaking of those kids, I think I might actually know a way. Those kids, even though they were putting graffiti on the wall, it seemed to be graffiti of their favorite heroes. So, and they looked roughly the age of your daughter. Are actually possible classmates of hers? Izuku's like, well, describe what they look like to me, and maybe I'd be able to give you an answer. And Noel's basically does exactly that. And Izuku's like, yeah, those are classmates of hers. And Noel's like, well then, I don't think they would mind being associated with the number one hero team that has within it the number one hero in all of Japan. And quite honestly, I should at least think that you should get the title of #1 here in the world, or at least this world, at this point. And Izuku's just like, you could do that? And I was like, I could try. Okay. Their bodies haven't decomposed yet, so there's still enough chance that I can help in that way. It'll probably be around the first ever interns at your hero agency. Have your friends and family be glad for that. Now they finally have, something to be like a sponsorship of sorts. Guys even get more popular than you already are. Spread the love around if you know what I mean. And Izuku, and when hearing they might just get actual internships for their hero agency from these kids whenever they go through the school and do everything. Basically, they would get early internships just to help with the way and exactly how Null is planning on bringing them back. They would have technically not exactly symbiotes, but symbiote-like quirks. Their quirks would be affected in the way of being just like how a symbiote is sentient. Their quirks would become sentient as well, just like how a symbiote is sentient. So basically, a heavy alteration of those people's quirks. A heavy alteration. And Null's like, and yes, before you start asking stupid questions, I can indeed do that. It just takes a lot out of me. Saying as in my older age and how long it's been since I've actually had any of this type of action, you can basically take that however you want to take it. I don't really care. But it might take a little bit more out of me than usual things would. But still, I'd be able to do it. And so, it happens. And in no time, basically, the people that were, the kids that were killed, they all get brought back with their quirks now being symbiote-like. Say one of the kids might have had a quirk like Hisashi's quirk in the canon anime, like a fire-breathing one. Let's say the fire that they're able to materialize becomes sentient and now functions like a symbiote basically made of fire. That's basically what is meant whenever basically saying that their quirks would behave symbiote-like in a symbiote-like manner. Any fire that was produced would be would simply just summon out a literal symbiote made out of fire. That could be projected from the quirk user like it was a freaking stand from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Oh, and don't think I'm not going to be doing any JoJo what ifs in the future. I might have my eye on a possible JoJo what if, but if you guys are going to want me include Star Platinum or Zawarudo, the world, but instead of the world, I like to call it Zawarudo, because I just think that name is hilarious. Zawarudo. Plus, it reminds me of Snap Cube's real-time fan dub of Sonic Adventure 2's Dark Story, I believe. It was either the Dark Story or the Hero Story. I believe it was the Dark Story, whenever Sonic and Shadow first met up in that part of the game. And, like, Shadow's holding the Chaos Emerald out, and the person doing Shadow's voice says, Zawarudo! Every time he uses Chaos Control, he actually just says Zawarudo instead. Which, Snapcube, you guys are hilarious. Your real-time fan dubs of, like, Sonic games that I've watched so far. Which, basically, both parts of the Sonic Adventure 2 fan dub, like, so, like, Hero Story and the part with, like, the Dark Story and Final Story are, like, combined together. That being, like, the second part of the fan dub. And the Sonic 06 fan dub that you guys did. Snapcube, shout out to Snapcube, they're hilarious. And oh my god, the bit with Sonic and the mayor. Oh my god. But, basically, yeah, this would indeed be the end of part 5 because, well, everything else has been resolute. All of this has to be due now. No, that has to be done now. It's basically, Null's already pretty close to exhausted, so, you know, Izuku and Carnage, basically now we know that they're just really able to do whatever, you know, because, you know, they're not just around All Black's power level, they're like super above it, so of course they'd be able to do it a lot easier than either Null or All Black. Like the whole freaking pulling shit from like other planes of existence, like other universes, other freaking realities. So like, yeah, that type of shit. And instead of like pulling shit, it basically uses power to like, and basically reverse the way it works, basically creating a black hole effect to where like anyone who it wanted to suck up would be sucked up and sent to God knows where. And in that sense of the word, God would technically be Izuku and Carnage. Because they would be the only ones that would really know where they were being sent. Well, Null would know, I guess, because, you know, Null, you know, kinda would indeed think that Izuku and Carnage would want to send this version of Izuku, you know, Tatsumaki Izuku, back to their freaking home. I mean, that makes all the sense in the world. If you're actually a nice person, you would want to do a nice thing. If you yourself were a nice person. And, you know, Izuku, in this what if, is indeed the #1 hero, the symbol of freaking peace, so why the hell would he not? So that is indeed where Tatsumaki Izuku is sent, and basically, several people would actually think that they were dead. But, you know, Nejire would come up to, you know, her, you know, bestest boyfriend ever, and, you know, actually realize they're not dead, they're just exhausted beyond belief. Because even after doing all of that healing, like both of them, like Izuku and Carnage, and even Null, like you still got to admit that after all the hell that they just went through, Tatsumaki Izuku is going to be exhausted. Like, sleeping for several days and nights. Exhausted. But eventually, like, it wouldn't be too many days days and nights. It wouldn't be too many. It'd just be a couple before they were able to, well, actually wake up. And why I say wake up instead of, get back to hero work is even whenever they woke up, they'd still be exhausted. So they would just kind of still have to be in bed. And, Nejire would be overprotective, of course. And, that's just how it be. And, of course, the others, like, Tatsumaki Izuku's own brother, Sonic, and, well, their own cousin, Shigaraki, and, of course, their, parents, like Toga and All Might, would all be worried as hell about, the actual safety and health of, Tatsumaki Izuku. So it would take a while, and in this while, All Might would do his best to basically be substitute number one hero. So he would get back onto the job again, but only as a substitute number one hero until the real number one hero is able to basically get back on their feet and healthy again. Because of an incident that happened which separated them from, well, the number one hero. And apparently something happened that did this to them. However, they should make a recovery pretty soon, so All Might's not going to have to worry about doing this job for too long. I mean, he did have plans of retirement, so it's not anything that lasts too long. And eventually, Izuku does get back, like Tatsumaki Izuku does end up getting back on their feet again, and, well, perfectly healthy. I guess the only real thing that would be wrong is that little thing called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder caused by All Black, literally sucking the life out of them whenever they were basically his meat puppet. So yeah, that would be the only thing that Null and Izuku and Carnage really couldn't get rid of, is the added effect of, well, really unerasable PTSD. Like, even if you got, like, Recovery Girl on the case, she wouldn't be able to erase the PTSD caused by what All Black was doing to them. That's, like, the only negative, it's, like, the only repercussion of what has happened. Because everything else is, like, fine and dandy now. The only thing else I could actually think of being a negative, thing, besides the whole PTSD, is that Noel is now in need of a good old nap as well. Because, Noel hasn't done anything like that in a long time, so, of course, he's going to be a little bit, tired. And so, Noel's just going to be doing his thing, sleeping for however long he needs to sleep to regain his energy. That isn't really a repercussion. It's more or less just what happens whenever you haven't used your godly powers in so long, and then all of a sudden you're forced to flex in order to show that you are trying to do good instead of do evil. However, the real, actual, true repercussion of all of this, is the PTSD that cannot be erased. The one thing that could not be gotten rid of, the inevitable PTSD. But hey, it doesn't get in the way of things too much. It just happens sometimes. Out of the blue, but, they're still able to live life. Live life and live and let live. Live and let die. However that song goes. Live and let die. Dun, dun, live and let die. Dun, dun. So, yeah. I guess, anything else said, but, I believe I'm all out, folks. And yeah, out of this house.